Topics in Math 2.2 Part 3 Notes, Estate Division, and using Google Sheets. So what we're going to do is the same thing we've been doing to calculate when an estate is divided, the total settlement of each heir, but we're going to do it with a Google spreadsheet, Google Sheets. And so we need to know how to use some key formulas. Okay, so I used some example cells. Most of my cells ended up being in the B range, but it could be A, B, C, whatever the topic of the column is. So most of the formulas, you're going to want to start with that equals. I guess all the formulas, you start with the equals, okay? And then tell it what to do. So this first one says the sum of B9 colon B15. What that's going to do is add all of the boxes from B9 through B15. So knowing that formula will be helpful when we're trying to figure out what the total bids plus the cash is. Okay? Sometimes you maybe want to add 2 boxes at a time, or you can multiply 2 different cells. You can subtract some numbers and then multiply. Okay? So again, key is to get a formula, start with the equal sign. All right, we're going to try this example together here, so feel free to pause the video if you need to as we go. So to find this spreadsheet here, go to Canvas, Topics in Math, and then 2.2 Part 3. That's where you can find these numbers. So go ahead and open the file. I did put directions on how to open it in Canvas and how to, it'll be easy to open it, but it's more like how to turn it in. So feel free when you're turning it in to look on Canvas. Now we're going to work on this today and tomorrow. So let's go ahead and go to the spreadsheet here. All right, so we have the spreadsheet, and the directions are kind of vague on this first one, though they're a little bit more clear on the next couple. But like on the second one, well, the first homework problem, they are split evenly. There we go, it says it right there. Number 3, the shares are 40%, 25%, and 35%. And you have cash. So the directions should kind of be at the top of how the estate has been divided. The one we did doesn't have it because we're working it together, but this one's going to be divided evenly. Okay, so what we need to do is come up with kind of the titles of all of the rows here. So that first one, we want total bids, and then I'm going to put plus cash. Okay, then we have the person's share. That would be what percent they're getting. Then we have the fair share. Okay, that takes their bids into effect of what is their fair share. We have the item that they received. Then we have the initial cash value after that item was taken away, subtracted. And then we have the remaining cash. And finally, the total settlement. All right, so we're going to try to use these numbers to help us figure this out here. And I want formulas. I don't just want answers. You're going to be turning this in, and I'll be able to go in there and look at your formulas and see how they were written. So for this first one, I want to go equals, and then this is one of those ones where I want Amy's whole column there. So I'm going to say sum of, and then that first cell is B5. So you can see the one that highlighted in orange. B5 is the first one I want to start with, and I'm going to add all the numbers from there to B8. So I'm going to put a colon B8, and that will add all 4 of those boxes. Okay, in parentheses, and then just push enter. Okay, now a little trick here, it's the same trick that's in Excel docs, is that you can, if I want the same formula for all 3 of these, I can hit Control and then R. That will fill that formula to the right. So if I highlight that formula and go to the right and hit Control R, it will do the same formula for Bart's column and Carol's column. If that didn't make sense, we don't need to do it that way. We can still go equals sum of, but now Bart's column is starting at C5 and go all the way to C8. Okay, Carol's column is going from D5 to D8. Okay, and then now you have their total bids plus their cash. Next, since this is divided evenly, it would be a third of the total. So you could do their bids divided by 3, or another way to think of that percent, instead of just writing like 33%, I would put a bunch of 3s just to make sure it's accurate. And again, I went Control R. I guess, let me spell that the way your computer spells it. Control, there we go. R to fill those 0.3s across the way. So for the fair share, it's going to equal your total bids plus cash. So in this case, that B11 column times the percent that this person got. So Amy, Bart, and Carol are getting this estate divided evenly. So that's why we chose 33.3%. So we're going to go B11 times B12. Okay. This is going to take the total bids plus cash times their share, and this gives me the fair share for Amy. I'm just going to put Amy again here. Okay, now these numbers don't look like money right now. We'll change it to money here at the end, but just leave it like that for now. And again, if you want to get Bart's and Caroline's, since we're doing the same thing, we can go Control R to get their fair share. If you don't want to do that, you don't need to do that. You can just push equals, let's see, equals C11 times C12. And then equals D11 times D12. All right, so we have their fair share. The next thing we need to do is figure out who won what item. So if we look at the painting, it looks like the highest bid was Bart's. So Bart got the painting. Okay, motorcycle, let's see, it looks like Amy's bid was the highest for motorcycle. And then Amy also got the tickets. So not only did Amy get the motorcycle, but she also got the tickets. So I can just go 4,000 plus 500. Okay, or you can just put 4,500, but I want you to try to use these formulas. So that means Carol she didn't get any items. Her bids were all low. So their initial cash, what did they have left over after their fair share and that item that they received? So here again, we want to do a formula. We want to take that fair share row minus the item that they bought. So for Amy's column, it's going to go B13 minus B14. Okay, so I'm going to go equals B13 minus B14. And then again, you can go Control R to get everybody else's fair share. Or we can just say, let's see, Bart would be C13 minus C14. So again, don't forget to push that equals first so that they know it's a formula. So the spreadsheet knows that it's a formula. Okay, Carol is going to be equals D13 minus D14. And we know that answer shouldn't move because she didn't buy anything. All right, so the remaining cash. So I'm just gonna kind of divvy this up over here. So our initial cash was 5,000, but then we needed to subtract, or the cash given by the estate was 5,000. We need to subtract everybody's leftover cash. So we're gonna take that 5,000 minus B15. I gotta go equals, there we go. Okay, that was the initial cash left over for Amy, which she was overdrawn. She had spent more than her fair share, but that's okay. So then we're gonna go minus Bart's initial cash, and he had spent more than his fair share also, C15, and then minus Carol's, which was D15. So that is the cash left over. So what we need to do for their remaining cash, now here's where if their share was different, each person has a different amount. But since this is divided evenly into 3, I'm just gonna take that B12 and then times this F14. I'm gonna go equals B12 times F14. And you can see those boxes highlight. So it's Amy's share, she got 33.3% times that leftover cash. Okay, and then since this was divided evenly, C12 times F14 Since it was divided evenly, they're all going to have the same amount. Equals D12 times F14. All right, and finally the total settlement. So remember, the total settlement is the item received plus their initial leftover cash plus the remaining cash. So we're gonna go equals the sum of B14 through B16. Okay, so I wanna add all three of those boxes up. So notice that they get highlighted. That shows me that those are the ones I'm adding. Okay, and then again, we can use that Control R if we wanted to see everybody's final settlement. All right, last step, let's change these back to currency. Somehow change these back to money, because this is gonna be our spreadsheet that we're gonna give to the customer that wanted to know how was their estate divided. So change your decimal answers to money answers. Okay. And then you can do this by going to the format at the top and then click on number, okay? So if you kind of notice down here, there's a bunch of different ways I can write it. Numbers or percents. Do we want accounting? Do we want it to be financial, currency rounded? What do we want it to look like? So I'm gonna choose currency just because I like seeing those negative signs when the amount is below. If you choose the accounting or the financial, it will put the negative amounts in parentheses. So that's perfectly fine too, but I'm gonna choose the currency, okay? So we actually need to highlight what we wanna change. So change your decimals. So I'm gonna write the direction. So we went format, then we went to number, and then we went to currency. Or you can use the accounting ones too. So I'm gonna highlight the ones that I wanted to change back to money. Okay. The share wouldn't be money. If you wanna change that to percent, that's fine. Otherwise you can just leave it. But these are the ones that should be money. So now I'm gonna go back to that format and then number and then currency. Okay. To help me summarize my answers, I'm going to just do one more row here, just to see like how much cash each person is getting. So if you take the total settlement there, B17, minus the item that they bought, B14. Oops, I got to put my equal sign in there. That will give us how much cash was given. So again, I can go Control right and so on. So to summarize, we can say Amy received the the tickets and what was the other thing? Motorcycle. So she received the motorcycle, the tickets, and $288.89. Okay, Bart received the paintings and had to pay back $11.11. He went over his fair share, so he had to buy the other two back, pay him back. Carol received $4,722.22. She didn't receive any items. Okay, her bids were lower than everybody else's, but she did get the cash. All right, so your assignment is to do at the bottom 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have today and tomorrow to work on this. So please email me if you guys have any questions. If you need help turning in the assignment, there are directions on Canvas.